am Bob Sheritz, and this is The Way Out. We are an intensive outpatient program for adolescents and adults. We're located on the corner of Plum and Bouquet Canyon, and our phone number is 661-296-4444. Go to our outstanding website. We are at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. And welcome to another Monday. I always start off on a Monday talking about asking the listeners to get ourselves into a place of gratitude. Mondays can be a little daunting for people, and some of you may be sitting out there having a rough time of it. So I want you to take a moment and think about all the things to be grateful for in our lives. And if you're having trouble out there, reach out to somebody for help. Remember that asking for help is the first step. Over this last weekend, I am saddened by the news. We had an overdose. Well, we had an apparent overdose. A 39-year-old young man in Canyon Country was found, and they tried their hardest to resuscitate him and were unable to do so. And so we lost another local person to apparently a heroin overdose. When a few months ago we had a rash of overdoses, like 9 or 10 of them in a weekend, and all of a sudden, got everybody's attention, and everybody was talking about it again. And one of the things that I want to remind us is that just because we aren't hearing about these overdoses on a regular basis doesn't mean that the drug epidemic isn't alive and well everywhere, but certainly here in Santa Clarita Valley. And so we want to continue always talking about it, always raising awareness. Whenever I hear about a tragedy like we had this over this weekend where someone dies or someone is hurt or drugs or alcohol are involved, I always take it as an opportunity to open a conversation with my kids about that. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old boys, and I don't think that it's ever too young to start talking to them about drugs and alcohol and the dangers of such and things like that. So whenever there's a tragedy, I use that as an opportunity to talk to my kids. Reason I'm bringing that up on air is because we have in studio with us today Matt Hinsey, who is the assistant principal at Sierra Vista Junior High School. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Bob, for having me.
And, I think it's very appropriate to open up that topic about talking to kids about drugs. You've been working with kids in school setting for how long?
For about 15 years here.
So you have a lot of experience with talking to kids.
Absolutely, from 7th grade through high school. Yeah, there's these kind of situations. We do have it in our schools and our school districts out here. A lot of different opportunities to speak with kids and some programs that our school district has in store for parents and the students to hopefully help in that communication. Well,
I tell you what, Santa Clarita Valley obviously is unique, and I'm not just saying that because we live here and but we have a perspective. I've been other places. I've seen the way that communities, talk about their issues or don't talk about their issues. And, I also have been in the Santa Clarita Valley since 1976, and so I was here as a kid at a time when we weren't so free to talk about these issues, and I've watched the transition in our community since that time to now. And I tell you what, especially in the school district, in the Hart School District, the willingness to talk openly about the issues that are taking place is just phenomenal. And I think that we have some programs that are in place and some administrators and staff in our schools unlike any other place.
Absolutely. Thankfully, I would say it's not a major portion of my day to have to deal with that, but when it does, it's nice to have the support of the school district and these programs to help have the tools, give me the tools to help kids and help parents when needed, when it comes up.
So just to sort of roughly state what the numbers are. this show is specifically around recovery. We spent a lot of time talking about drugs, drug addiction, and talking about the problem. It absolutely is an epidemic nationwide, perhaps worldwide, and Santa Clarita is no different than any place else. But I don't want anyone to get the impression that, our schools are rampant with drugs and that's
Absolutely
all
not.
we ever
No
do.
way.
Because that's just not the truth. It's just not the truth. Statistics say even with the changing attitude about marijuana use in the last several years, even with that, statistics say that by the time students are in the 12th grade, roughly 25% will have used marijuana. So roughly a quarter of the students. I think it's a little bit higher than that, but that's what the statistics say. But of that number right there, kids who have, well, anybody, whether it's kids or otherwise, who end up having lifelong issues, a couple of things. The younger a person starts, the higher the prevalence of having lifetime issues with drugs. But overall, on an average, anybody who does drugs or drinks on a regular basis, roughly 10 to 12% of that population right there will end up having problems. And the 25% that I mentioned by the time they're seniors in high school is not everyday use. It's not everyday use. The last number that I saw was less than 8%. Of high school students use on a regular basis. So you take that number right there, 8% of high school students that are using marijuana, and you take roughly 10 or 12% of that number are the kids that we really, really are having issues with, that you really got to watch out for.
Absolutely.
I say those numbers so that everybody can get a perspective of, yes, it is an epidemic. That number right there, there's more people in the United States that die from accidental drug overdoses than from car crashes, and think about that. Everybody knows somebody who gets in a car crash, right? Everybody knows somebody, who's had a bad experience in a car crash. Sure. And some of us know people that have died,
Sure,
as a result of car crashes. And we live in a world today where more people are dying from drugs than they're dying from that.
That's too bad, yeah.
It's huge. It's a huge, huge, huge epidemic. And so the numbers say that it is. But again, I don't want anyone to get the impression that in our schools or any other schools, that it's just running rampant everywhere. So it is not an everyday conversation with you.
It's not every day, but like I said, there's we have some programs that especially at the middle school level where Sierra Vista Junior High obviously is that's a great time and it's a very pivotal time in these adolescents' lives. They have, from sixth grade to the high school, there's things going on in their minds and chemicals going on, with regards to hormones and it's a tough time for them and they're trying to come into their own. So they're vulnerable and we do I think a really good job in our school and in our district to try and interdict any issues that might get in there and also educate them, most importantly, on making good choices and building relationships with these kids, from good positive adult relationships from their teachers, from their administrators, from their counselors, so they have someone to go to if they are feeling, I'm not sure what I need to do. That's what we try and do at Sierra Vista, yeah.
So, I brought up talking to my young kids about, drugs at 5 and 8 years old. What does age appropriate conversation sound like at the younger age? I know you're in junior high school.
Right.
You can have pretty direct conversations with a seventh grader about drugs and alcohol. I mean, let's face it, by the time a person is in the seventh grade, they are well aware of what's going on in, especially today's world with social media and everything out there. But age appropriate conversations with kids younger than that.
Right. At my level, I do try and be direct with them, talk about what it's doing to their body, what kind of things, consequences that road that it can go down. With our youngest students, and sometimes our students that might seem a little bit more sheltered, they I find them more afraid and concerned about if they see it or hear about it, and I think I use that time to kind of relieve them of those fears, and I'm trying to give them tools on how they can help and deal with that. If they see drugs or if they hear friends are doing it, they sometimes they get very scared, and they alert us. We have at all our schools we have a thing called a text to tip, and where each school has their own individual phone number that is linked to administration and our school resource officer, that we can get tips for, and if someone sees something going on, whether it be drugs or fights or anything like that. And many times the messages we get are in a fear. They're afraid for their friends. They're afraid for themselves, that they want to report this information so they can feel safe. And when we bring them in to talk about that, that kind of relieving of that stress is the most important. And usually they have a pretty good outlook going out of that to relieve that kind of fear. So I would say that's probably the first and foremost thing that you need to really deal with the younger kids is dealing with the fear of what is this big scary thing actually doing.
Right, and what's the reality of it? We saw it's interesting because we saw a big transformation in terms of tobacco use over the years. There's huge campaigns to say it is dangerous, huge campaigns to say it will kill you, and people started getting the message. And in California alone, we watched the smoking rate drop from 25% of the adult population down to less than 12%.
Yeah, you don't see that at all. You don't see a kid with a pack of cigarettes in the
It's
junior
almost
high
even with adults
ever,
now. Even with adults, whenever it almost catches me off guard when I see somebody walking down the street smoking now. I'm like, oh, people still do that, right?
Right.
But they got them, because of those big campaigns. A lot of the kids that we have been working with, especially the younger ones who have parents that smoke, because we get a lot of adults in treatment centers that still, they're trying to stop using drugs, but they're still smoking. And when we work with their kids, the kids, same thing. Their biggest fear is, oh my God, my mom's going to die, my dad's going to die.
Right.
So there is a big fear factor that can work for a lot of kids to keep them from doing that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I love the idea of text. There was a time in technology wise not too long ago where it was very difficult, I think, for a lot of us adults to sort of embrace all the technology that's available that our kids have in front of us. And rather than try to say, no phones in our schools.
Right.
I mean, the kids are going to have them, right? So let's
absolutely.
implement programs like the texting
tip.
program,
Right,
the text to
absolutely.
tip, where, man, that's like lightning speed.
Absolutely.
Right
And
now, we know where it's happening.
Yeah, it goes directly to us, and it's really helpful, and we can get on that situation that they're afraid of right away. Right.
And just a tip for parents, as the students and your kids start getting older, pay attention to what's going on. That is their number one communication tool, is their phones and their tablets and their things like that. And pay attention, because we live in a world today where, when I was a kid out here, they had what was called, they call them dirt parties, right? And so somebody would have a bonfire out in the middle of nowhere, and everybody go out there. It might be a keg of beer or something like that, right? High school parties, and and the buzz would go around high school, and everybody would know where they're going. And if you're at that party and it got busted up, then you'd have to figure out where you're going next or whatever, right? But in today's world,
it's instantaneous, and I know that's not our topic today, but social media is one of the biggest things. Your kids are living an entire different world that you don't even realize unless you're seeing what they're doing online. So we always recommend follow them. I'm always amazed that kids under the age of 13 have these social media accounts. And the social media accounts are getting so much more savvy and doing things that to you and I probably just seem silly. Encouraging comments and encouraging anonymous comments from people, and for some reason I'm at a loss to is kids are engaging in this, and it does cause a lot of stress on our kids, that whole second life that they're living outside of the real life online, and it causes a lot of stress, and oftentimes stress does lead to using substances to try and relieve some of that stress.
Well, and that's
Absolutely.
a whole nother a whole nother jump off for a big conversation about the tie in between stress and drug addiction. That's absolutely the truth. Absolutely the truth. But for parents who want to be engaged, a couple of tips for having those conversations: be in your kids' lives.
Absolutely.
No, not only look at what's going on their phones and their tablets, but take the tablet and see what's inside of it. I was somebody at the parent resource symposium last
Sure.
week had talked about there are apps now that are designed to look like a calculator on the
Absolutely.
kid's phone.
Yeah.
And when you put in a certain number, it opens up and it's a whole behind the scene. It duplicates the phone.
Sure.
So you have a whole nother profile behind everything else that's going on so that they can communicate with each other in private and nobody can get to it, right? There's stuff like that out there.
Right. And every kid has multiple social media accounts. If they have one, I'm sure they have other social media accounts, and that's their different personas, and a lot of times in those personas you can find out what kind of behaviors they are engaging with, and much of the time it's risky behaviors, and that's the tough part as a parent. I know I'm a parent, and that is the big fear.
Well, and I really teach to our clientele, and we work with adolescents and adults, and I really teach to our clientele to try to get to a point where we live in absolute transparency.
Right.
And I think that's really important from a parenting standpoint. Is we want not only ourselves to be transparent with our kids, but vice versa. And I have conversations with my kids about that. If I have something going on my own personal Facebook that looks like it would be offensive to my children or somebody else, I am not following or friends with that person right there. He goes off of my Facebook because I don't think that I should have anything that my kids can't see. Age appropriate, of course,
Absolutely,
and however, it should work both ways. And that's the
Absolutely.
biggest tool that we have is being open and honest with our
Yeah,
kids,
and if they're going to take that responsibility to use those tools, and frankly, they're kind of amazing. This bringing people together that these things can really do for good. But on the same token, there's the dark side that they really got to be mindful of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, having those early conversations with kids and is absolutely the best preventative measure against later problems with drugs, alcohol, and other mental health issues and things like that are early interventions. Which is the best prevention there is. Right. So the earlier that we can start having those conversations with our kids, the better that's going to help them later on. There are some really fantastic prevention efforts in the Heart District that we're implementing today.
Yeah, we have at our school and all the schools the Defy and SCV program, which is a partnership with the Heart District and the city of Santa Clarita. The city is super supportive. They have great people working for them. I love having them come on campus and working with them. It's basically it's a club that meets regularly. Anybody can join the club really if they want. They come in. They have activities during lunchtime. Oftentimes, you hear kids, see their friends involved in some lunchtime activity or in the little club meeting where they're going over whatever the topic is, and they want to join. They want to join. Can I join that? Of course you can. It's open to everybody. It's called Defy in SCV.
So DFY in SCV.
That's correct.
Which stands for Drug Free Youth.
That's correct. Yeah. And it's very engaging, very positive, and I think kids go out into that and out of that program, just with the confidence to not just say no, but to in the confidence how to deal with a situation if they're at a social gathering, a party or whatnot, or they see their friend struggling with wanting to experiment with drugs or whatever, and it gives them that's kind of what the topics that they keep going over, and it gives them the confidence, and you see that in their program.
It would be really, really cool, and I think on some level we are here, but it would be really, really cool to live in a world where, especially in high school, where the high school norm would be being clean and sober is cool, right? And not only that, but to empower kids to be able to say that openly.
Right.
Because the way that I look and my social status and my peer pressure and all that different stuff at a high school level is the strongest thing they face these days.
Absolutely.
Is, do I look okay? Am I dressed okay? Am I listening to the right music? Am I hanging with the right people? Am I blah, blah, blah? All the stuff that goes on in the head, right? And to be able to empower a kid to go out publicly and say, it's not okay to participate in those behaviors right there, and I'm going to make a stand for that. People will gather around that.
Absolutely.
And it becomes the new norm.
Absolutely.
And anytime we have programs in place to be able to do that, that's awesome. That's right on.
Absolutely.
When we come back after this message, we are going to talk about some of the other prevention and intervention programs that are in the Hart District. I'm Bob Sheritz. I'm in studio with Matt Hinsey, assistant principal from Sierra Vista Junior High School, and we will be right back in a moment.
Little Eye Leaders is the newest preschool in the Santa Clarita Valley. At Little Eye Leaders, our outstanding teachers lead with intellect, perspective, and heart. That means our programs provide a warm, nurturing atmosphere to meet the unique needs of each child. We believe that play is a powerful form of learning for young children. That's why our kids have every opportunity to learn through the magic and excitement of play. Parents, schedule a tour today by calling 303-0400 or online at littleeyeleaders.org.
City of Hope is a world leader in cancer research and treatment, and there's a City of Hope community practice location right here in Santa Clarita, eliminating a major barrier in the fight against cancer: distance to quality care. Santa Clarita benefits from City of Hope's compassionate care and renowned clinical expertise. We offer many services at our Santa Clarita location, including medical and surgical oncology, infusion therapy, and chemotherapy. Our City of Hope Santa Clarita physicians maintain a close relationship with your primary care physician to ensure you receive the best care. City of Hope Santa Clarita is conveniently located, has world-class physicians, and accepts a wide variety of insurance plans. To learn more, visit cityofhope.org/Santa Clarita or call 661-799-1999. City of Hope, the miracle of science with soul.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo. And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills. Hey, don't get too close.
And the hits keep on coming.
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard.
Ibex is back.
Harder, better, Fossa stronger.
And a new track from Kendrick Lamar.
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa.
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks, now open at the San Diego Zoo. Coca-Cola is proud to be the official beverage sponsor of the San Diego Zoo and Safari Park.
There are fun kids events at the Church on the Way Santa Clarita. 2 to 5-year-olds meet at the Arc Room on Fridays for toddler exercise time. New moms come to the Church on the Way Santa Clarita on Tuesdays for new, free Moms Fellowship, support, friendship, and social events for moms and their babies. Visit tcotwsc.org for these and other exciting events at the Church on the Way Santa Clarita on Cinema Drive, or call 291-6000.
KHTS. We fall so hard. Now we gotta get back what we lost.
Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sheritz. I'm the program director at The Way Out. We are located in Santa Clarita, Plum and Bouquet Canyon. Our phone number is 661-296-4444, and our website is thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. We are a substance abuse treatment center for adolescents, adults, and their families. And today we have in studio with us Matt Hinsey, who's the assistant principal at Sierra Vista Junior High School, talking about the different programs that are in the Heart District. Before the break, we started talking about the Drug-Free Youth in SCV program and what a wonderful prevention effort that is. It is so Drug-Free Youth is in multiple grade levels?
It's in all our schools, for junior high and high school. There's a staff member assigned as an advisor for it, and then they work closely with the City of Santa Clarita group that works with them, and then also our school resource officer plays an integral role in that, presenting and getting to know our youth who are a part of that program. They bring their unique law enforcement perspective, but they're there to support and to get to know and really help counsel as they go. But yeah, it's grades 7 through 12. I know they've been trying to get it.
I'm not sure if they've implemented it in elementary schools yet, but it is going to it's going to happen.
Right.
There's been a lot of talk about that. It may already be happening on some level.
Every year, all the sixth grade. In our feeder sixth graders of all the districts, all the schools and all the districts out here, they do a one-day assembly. They come to our campus, the junior high campus, and the Defy does a presentation for them, and to kind of get them, not only does it get them excited because they get to come to their next junior high's campus and kind of see that, that gets them really excited, but it's kind of a toe into orientation, introduction to junior high, and the kids really love it. And it gives us an opportunity to kind of introduce ourselves as the new administration that they're going to see next year, and it's a great little orientation. I love it.
Well, and I love the way that it's presented. See, one of the biggest obstacles to not only the prevention of drug use, but certainly intervention and treatment is the stigma behind it. Mm-hmm. And when we have programs like Drug-Free Youth, where you come to visit the school, and here are all the different clubs on campus, and it's there's sports one, there's academic ones, and there's anti-drug ones, all build together. Mm-hmm. With equal importance starts to erase that stigma.
Absolutely, and they get a lot of trainings. They have a youth summit that all the kids go to. They have their own club leadership that gets special training as well. It's a very popular club on campus. People like to put it, get involved with it at the high school level. It looks, they like to get involved with that community. Service aspect of it, mentoring other kids and their peers. That's the thing that schools, colleges are really looking for too, is what kind of involvement do you get in with your community? What kind of experiences do you have doing that? So that's a great opportunity for high school kids to get involved with that way.
And I can't say enough about the collaboration. This is not just something that's in the high schools. The city of Santa Clarita has equal involvement in the program. The Hart School District has equal involvement in the program. The Sheriff's Department has equal involvement in the program. As a treatment provider, we've been asked to bring in professionals to talk about addiction. We've been asked to bring in recovering kids that are in recovery from addiction, to come in and talk on these panels and things like that. Very, very exciting stuff when you have all these entities that are on the same page trying to help our community to reduce the drugs. We're not just talking about right now. You're talking about working with kids so that 10 years from now, the drug use is going to be lower.
Right, absolutely. And I think it's not about, getting these kids catching them with the drugs. I mean, with all three of these, groups that are so invested in this community, that's what makes our community so great is we all are very much invested in our youth, and we want to play an active role, and especially in this topic, it's so important for us to all be on the same page and working together to kind of rid that problem.
So another program that is a Heart District program exclusively is called the Cadre program.
Absolutely.
Comprehensive Alcohol and Drug Reduction and Education.
You're way better you're better at the acronyms than I am.
I've been involved in Cadre for a long time.
Education is full of acronyms,
right.
and we don't know half of what they really mean, but I'm glad you do.
Well, I tell you what, I've had the I've had the honor to sit on some different collaborations and think tanks with Kathy Hunter, right?
Yeah.
And we've sat in there, and she's really good at coming up. I don't know if she came up with Cadre, but maybe
she might have a little marketing in her background.
She
or something.
is someone that comes up. She comes up with really good acronyms. Tide, right? She came up with that one, and Cadre. So drug testing in the schools. There's a bit of a controversial history around that, isn't there?
It's really
like, wait a minute,
it shouldn't be there, right? Yeah, no, yeah, and that was, and the biggest point of this is all parent and student initiated. Right. The Heart District, all teachers, administration, we don't get the results. It's completely out of the school's hands. It's run just through the people who provide the drug testing and the school and the students. The contracts are made with the parents and all that stuff. We don't get any results whatsoever. But really, what's the school district's take on it? What we want it is an easy way for kids to say no. They can say, when they're at a get together and the opportunity comes to them, or they're met with that opportunity, they say, no, you know what? No, I can't. My parents they put me in the Cadre program. One of the things is make the parents the bad guy. Parents are always the bad guy with the kids anyway. Yeah. So it makes it easy for the kid to make the parent the bad guy and say, I can't do that because I might get drug tested, so I can't do that. So we provide the facility on a random basis, and the kids come out, do their sample, the parents get the results, and that's it. You can get signed up for that by going to the heartdistrict.org website, and under, I think it's parents or community, there's a or students, I think it's a student link. There's a link to the Cadre program. You could download an application and get that to your school, and they will submit that to the program. And we're really looking to kind of redo that this year. So even if you have already signed up for the program, we ask that you re-download and resubmit, so we can clear out all the books and make sure everybody who still wants to be involved are involved. And they do a full battery of drug tests on that. It is a simple urinalysis, so it's no taking of locks of hairs or anything like that. But it is all done by the providers, and we find it, again, like I said, it's a tool for the kid so they can help say no, so they're not feeling the pressure.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, just to say how very proud we are of our company. We were awarded Cadre contract for this year. So there's two different companies that are providing the Cadre drug testing in the schools, and the Way Out is one of them. And we're very happy to be able to say that, because it is such a well-established program, and it does absolutely prevent drug use, and it is set up. So it's an absolutely confidential, voluntary program. Students and the parents have to buy into it. And so, and when we go to the schools to test, no communication is between us and the schools.
Right.
It's always between us and the parents. And I've gotten the same feedback that you're talking about. I've been doing it with one of the other providers for about the last 5 years, and now the Way Out has the contract, so I'll continue to do it with our company. But the feedback that I've gotten from the students is exactly what you say. What a relief it is to have one more tool in my back pocket when I'm faced with that peer pressure. I don't have to look, I can pass it off on the drug test.
Right.
And what a great tool it is for them. How about feedback from any of the parents? Have you gotten any feedback from parents on the cadre program and what they think about it?
Anytime I introduce it in a situation where I'm dealing with a student that is getting involved with that or is the potential for that kind of risky behavior, we always offer that and get them involved and a vast majority of the time parents are right there waiting to sign up. It's an easy thing. It's an easy thing to just sign and sign up. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to pay for anything, and it gives, I think, the parents a bit of a peace of mind that hey, I am doing something to help prevent this, and like you're saying, the kids they have that tool as well. But yeah, it's vastly positive. I mean, we don't feel that there's the controversy, especially that they know that there is no connection to their school. We don't see the results. We don't, there's no
Nothing's
judgment
ever
there.
published.
Yeah, absolutely. and there's, they are relieved at that. They don't want their teachers or their administrators looking poorly at their son or daughter. Because they're doing that. It's looked at by all our staff as such a great tool and helpful for them, and we strongly encourage it.
So, maybe it's certainly not off topic, but just to take a little side road, I think one of the most difficult things, like you said, it's an easy button, right? So a parent sitting out there listening, okay, we have the cadre program. It's in all the schools, 7th through 12th grade. You and your student can sign up, and what you've just done is you've enrolled them for free random drug testing. You can rest easy because they're involved in this program. Here's something that's really striking about offering that program. Because of the world that we live in and the relaxed attitude about especially marijuana, there are parents that are maybe even listening to this right now that are going to say, it's not a big deal that my kid smokes pot. Or, I don't want them signed up for that because I don't think it's a big deal, And unfortunately, that's one of the issues that we run into is the lackadaisical attitude about some of the drugs that are out there. Alcohol is the same. Don't ever stick alcohol outside of the box of drugs. It's it's the same, And there's a lot of parents who, unfortunately, will say it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. My teenager's doing it.
Right, and I think that's probably one of the most common. But this is an opportunity again. They're making their choices at home, but those choices they're making at home do vastly affect their experience at school. It affects their grades. It can affect their social groups at school, and it's a tough choice in this day and age where we in the state especially we've made some choices about how we are going to perceive that, and but it needs to be done in an informed way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you that the ages on so California just legalized marijuana recreationally. So let's look at that. Same laws apply as do alcohol. You have to be 21. So under the age of 21, for you to use it recreationally, it's still illegal.
Absolutely, and it's always illegal at school.
Right.
Under school law.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So even though legalization has been voted in, that doesn't mean that it's okay for teenagers to do it.
Absolutely.
And they don't just arbitrarily, when laws are made, there's a lot of footwork that goes into it. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of reasoning behind. They didn't just arbitrarily pick the age of 21. There is brain development that happens up to and even past the age of 21. Some say the parts of the brain in a male, women are smarter, they mature quicker in their brain development. 25 years old is when our brains are completed in their maturation, right? And so if you are using marijuana before the age of 25, certainly before the age of 21, you may be doing irreparable damage to the development of your brain. You can't pull it back in.
Right.
You can't pull that back in. And so for anybody who's listening, here's a little statistic. If you wait to do drugs or drink, till the age of 25, you are 30 times less likely to be a drug addict.
Wow.
30 times less likely. And so if you're a parent out there and you think it's okay to use marijuana, cool, that's your choice. You know, better than 50% of the state of California said it's okay to do that, right? But think about what you're advocating for your teenager in their undeveloped brain, and whether or not you're saying it's okay to do it, because you could be advocating for irreparable damage. If you think it's okay to use marijuana, then tell your kid, hey, I tell you what, when you turn 21 and it's legal, you know, I'll go buy you some or something. I don't know, but at least wait until that age.
Yeah.
At least wait until that age. So any argument we ever get inside of the school districts or with teenagers where they say, well, it's legal now, what's the big deal? You know, it's not legal under the age of 21.
Right.
It's not.
Right. No,
you know?
yeah, absolutely. That's some great facts. I think, I never thought of it in that way. Very good.
Well, I mean, you know, we don't look at it. People just go, oh, it's legal.
Yeah.
Right? Well, so let's take a moment. We're not, but let's take a moment to talk about alcohol. And hell, it's legal.
Absolutely.
And it causes more problems than any other drug. Right? But yet it's legal.
Right.
And because of the same thing is we don't look at, there's a reason that you have to be 21 to drink.
Right.
There's a reason for that. And, you know, and it's not just, somebody didn't just arbitrarily pick an age.
Right.
There's a lot of science behind it. And so it's very important as parents to be aware of that. Whatever your stance is on whether it should be legal or illegal, right on.
And I think just because we do seem to, you know, dial back some of the consequential from the law or whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean it's condoning it, right? And you know, at the school, you know, we in recent years, I think we've taken a much different approach, where it used to be just you're suspended, you're out of school, you know, maybe you're out if you're caught in possession of something like marijuana, you're out for 5 days or whatnot, and that was the punishment for it. But now we try to take a much more proactive approach by giving them some education. We have a program called the TIDE program, which we require students who do make those choices to go through in lieu of a suspension. So it's a much more positive turnaround for students, because we want them to learn that.
Well, when we come back after this break, I want to talk about, so we've been talking about prevention efforts. You know, the drug-free youth is prevention. Cadre is prevention. I want to ask the question, what happens when somebody does get in trouble? And so when we come back after this break, we'll have a few minutes to talk about really what we at The Way Out like to call a non-punitive model. You know, tough love is out the window. It used to be the norm, and we have found out that it doesn't work. You know, with some kids, it works very well, but a tough love model for someone who is having real problems with drugs and alcohol pushes them further into secrecy. And so we want to take a look at that. So there are many programs now that are more non-punitive, and they are really, really, really helpful. And the TIDE program can be one of those programs. So when we come back, we'll talk about what happens when a kid does get in trouble. I'm Bob Sheritz with The Way Out. We will be right back.
Choosing the right copy service was a top priority for John Hayes, owner of Hayes Plumbing in Santa Clarita. John's glad he called Sean Milligan at Professional Copy Service.
Well, once we found Sean at Professional Copy Service, we've been very, very happy. We started using him right after our factory warranty had expired on the current copier that we had purchased, and Sean and his guys have been far and above, better than the factory warranty service.
Professional Copy Service, 299-5756. 299-5756. The only authorized Canon dealer for sales and service in Santa Clarita for Santa Clarita, Professional Copy Service.
We try to keep everything we can in this valley. We shop local ourselves, and we try to use any local merchant as possibly can.
Call Sean Milligan at Professional Copy Service, 299-5756.
Call Professional Copy Service immediately. They'll save you a lot of time and get your office staff back up to full production.
Professional Copy Service, Santa Clarita's only authorized Canon office equipment dealership. Ask about our free on-site demos.
Did you see that car?
Isn't it the best? A moving advertisement.
Command eye-catching attention with the vehicle wrap by Feathers. Feathers can turn your company vehicles into a cost-effective moving billboard. Their high-quality, high-resolution vehicle wraps deliver excellent marketing exposure. Feathers works closely with you to clearly display your message, whether it's for branding of a new product, increasing name recognition, or promoting an event. Feathers Vehicle Wraps gets the job done. Feathers on Soledad and Canyon Country across from Edwards Theaters.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
You're hungry, and that means combo specials at Flamin' Skewers. Try their sandwich combo, any sandwich paired with a salad, rice, or fries. Flamin' Skewers offers an excellent selection of tasty cuisine at reasonable prices. We have healthy, fresh catering options for your next event, too. Visit our newest location in Granary Square, Valencia on McBean Parkway. Order online at flaminskewers.com or come in. Flamin' Skewers, healthy, fresh Mediterranean food at its best.
Drug and alcohol use can lead to troubles at school or work, relationship problems, financial or legal difficulties, medical and psychiatric issues. I'm Bob Sheritz, the host of the Way Out Recovery Hour, airing every Monday at noon. The Way Out Recovery Hour features prominent guests and organizations discussing the epidemic of drugs and alcohol in our valley. Don't miss the Way Out Recovery Hour every Monday at noon. Asking for help is the first step. There is the way out.
KHTS. We fall so hard, now we gotta get back what we lost.
Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sheritz, and this is the Way Out. We have a couple of minutes left in studio with Matt Hinsey, who is the assistant principal at Sierra Vista Junior High School. We've been talking about prevention. We've had a real nice, discussion on air today. I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
So if a kid gets in trouble, right, you talked about the TIDE program.
Right.
So first-time intervention?
That's a first-time intervention, and, again, it's not meant to, we want to help work with them, and there's some other programs that a lot of our counselors will do some counselor referrals. We have social workers at our district that are there that have a lot of knowledge and resources that they have available, and especially with this kind of maybe a reoccurring behavior with our students, we want to get them the help that they need. So we try and find as many resources out there as possible that are local and that our parents can help their students with, because the most important thing is that they're in school, right, and learning, and just simply kicking them out is not the answer.
Well, and, in today's world, we know certainly, I think we have, but we acknowledge maybe certainly, is that when it comes to the trouble that kids get into, there are a lot of social factors that are behind the scenes. Oftentimes the drug use and the acting out and the stuff, it's the result of all this other stuff behind. And if we just get in a kid's face and punish them and tell them stop doing that, we're not really addressing the problem.
And a great thing with the TIDE program is not only is it with the kids, but it's also with the parents, and is a way for everybody to come together and start getting some answers and some support that we really want them to have. So,
well, there are some wonderful programs out there. The TIDE program is run by Action. They've been around for a long time. Okay. There's also Child and Family Center, has some wonderful resources. And these are programs that work with the schools as much as they possibly can. Kim Goldman over there at Youth Project is another one. You have Light of Hope, which is a free support program, and then The Way Out. We have been working with many of the schools as well. The National Council, NCADD, they've been doing education inside of the schools as well. So there are a lot of organizations in the Santa Clarita Valley that are available to help kids. So, if you're a parent and your kid gets in some trouble first time or otherwise, and you're called into this school, one of the things that you had said, Matt, was oftentimes, God, it's such an embarrassment for the family members. But after that embarrassment subsides or the anger subsides and you're sitting there with your student, have them do the programs that are mandated or suggested by the school, but also reach out in your community. There are some wonderful things for your kids to get involved in that will point them in the right direction. There's great programs out there.
Yeah, the Sheriff's Department run a program called VITA.
The VITA program.
That's a great one we often refer to, and they always play a great support role for us. They're not there to they won't even they want to prevent getting them into the system. They don't want them into the legal system. So we want to do as many things as possible to get them out of that opportunity to kind of get that school to prison pipeline that you always hear about, and we want to defer them. So that's not the answer.
Well, that's been a wonderful thing to watch in our community, as well as the changing attitude of law enforcement. Probably elsewhere too, but certainly in our community is the changing attitude of law enforcement to say this is not necessarily a criminal problem. This is a social problem, and there's a lot more to it. And for them to open their minds up to say, we really want to help these people that are having issues with drugs, so that they don't end up in the system.
Our school resource officers they're experts in the field of drug recognition and knowing what happens and seeing the results of what that is, and they are sometimes our best resource to help prevent in the immediate, incident.
Something I think something that's sort of overlooked with law enforcement is, although they're not licensed counselors, they sure do a whole lot of counseling. They're first responders. They get in there and they're on scene with the kid who's just gotten in trouble or whatever, and they have the first crack at saying, hey, it's okay. It's not okay what happened. You've broken the law or whatever's happened, but there is help. And you can change your ways, and you don't have to end up in the system. And so it's really cool to see that.
They're great. They're great.
Well, Matt, it's been a real pleasure having you on here.
Thank you very much for having me.
If you've tuned in at the end or you're replaying this show, I think the takeaway today is that not only in the Hart District, but in the Santa Clarita, there are so many wonderful resources to help prevent kids from getting into trouble with drugs. And also, if they are, there's wonderful resources to help circumvent that and get them back on track, And there are wonderful people like yourself that are in the schools that are compassionate and kind and loving, and we appreciate that.
I thank you very much, and I'm glad to help.
All right, this is the Way Out Recovery Hour, and a happy Monday to you. We'll see you next week.